Hi everyone. Today we're going to start our new math unit on division. And in this unit, we're going to start by reading a book. This book is called The Doorbell Rang. Let's listen to the story together.
The Doorbell Rang by Pat Hutchins. "I've made some cookies for tea," said Ma. "Good," said Victoria and Sam. "We're starving." "Share them between yourselves," said Ma. "I made plenty." "That's 6 each," said Sam and Victoria. "They look as good as Grandma's," said Victoria. "They smell as good as Grandma's," said Sam. "No one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. It was Tom and Hannah from next door. "Come in," said Ma. "You can share the cookies." "That's 3 each," said Sam and Victoria. "They smell as good as your grandma's," said Tom. "And look as good," said Hannah. "No one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. It was Peter and his little brother. "Come in," said Ma. "You can share the cookies." "That's 2 each," said Victoria and Sam. "They look as good as your grandma's," said Peter, "and smell as good." "Nobody makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang. It was Joy and Simon with their 4 cousins. "Come in," said Ma. "You can share the cookies." "That's 1 each," said Sam and Victoria. "They smell as good as your grandma's," said Joy. "And look as good," said Simon. "No one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang.
Uh-oh.
And rang. "Oh dear," said Ma, as the children stared at the cookies on their plates. "Perhaps you'd better eat them before we open the door." "We'll wait," said Sam. It was Grandma, with an enormous tray of cookies. "How nice to have so many friends to share them with," said Grandma. "It's a good thing I made a lot." "And no one makes cookies like Grandma," said Ma, as the doorbell rang.
All right, well, in this story, let me go back to our slide. In this story, the doorbell rang. The children were going to share some cookies. And in the beginning, there were only two children sharing the cookies. So they were going to get to have quite a few cookies each. But then some friends came over when the doorbell rang, and they had to share the same amount of cookies between more people. So they ended up with fewer cookies each. And then the doorbell rang again, and what happened next? More people came, so they got fewer cookies. And then the doorbell rang again, and every time more people came, there were fewer cookies for each person until there was only one left per person. Luckily, Grandma came in at the end and had brought some more cookies to share. But then the doorbell rang again. Always a pretty funny story, but it's actually a great introduction to division because it shows us that when we divide, we share things equally. And that's what division is. We share things into equal groups. So let's take a look at our slides. We're going to share some cookies just like in the book. It says, Ma made cookies for Victoria and Sam to share. And here they are. She made 12 cookies, 1 dozen cookies. She divided them between Victoria and Sam. That's 2 people sharing the cookies. So 12 cookies is the number that they started with. And we're dividing them, this is the division symbol, between 2 people. That's the number of people sharing. So what's the number of cookies that each person gets? So I used these rectangles to show 2 groups for 2 people. If we're just sharing between 2 people, then one person gets this group of cookies and one person gets this group of cookies, and hopefully they don't get a tummy ache. So how many cookies is that per person? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for this person, for Victoria, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Sam. So each person gets 6 cookies. That's 6 cookies each. So the division sentence is 12 divided by 2 equals 6. And it's good to know that division is the opposite of multiplication. So we can actually look at this problem going backwards and say it as a multiplication problem. Watch this. 6 times 2 equals 12. Okay, so multiplication and division are fact families just like addition and subtraction. You can take an addition problem and turn it around to make a subtraction problem. You can do the same with multiplication and division. They're buddies. And then the doorbell rang. Let's see what happens next. It was Tom and Hannah from next door. Ma let them in. So now we still have those same 12 cookies we have to share, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4 people sharing. And I put the names down here at the bottom of the slide. So if we're dividing 12 by 4, that means we have to have 4 equal groups. So I had to draw them in with my scribble tool because it wasn't a nice square box. When I made 4 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, I ended up with 1, 2, 3 in each group. So each person gets 3 cookies, or 3 cookies each. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. 12 cookies divided into 4 equal groups equals 3 cookies in each group. And we can say it backwards as a multiplication problem just to check. 3 times 4 equals 12. And then the doorbell rang. It was Pete and his little brother from next door. Ma let them in too. So we have the same 12 cookies, but now we have all these people sharing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people sharing. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going to slide each rectangle around the cookies to make 6 groups. You're going to do that on your own, and then you're going to fill in these answers. How many cookies did they start with? Divided into how many groups or how many people that were sharing, what number was that? And then how many cookies does each person get? How many cookies are in each group this time? And that'll be the same number that goes here. And then you can read your division problem backwards as a multiplication problem to check it. Let's see what's happening on the last slide. Then when the doorbell rang again, it was Joy and Simon and their 4 cousins, and Ma let them in too. So all of a sudden this time, 1, 2, plus 4 more people are coming all at once. So 6 more people are coming at the end. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 4 cousins. 8 plus 4 is 12, so 12 people. So if we have 12 people, 12 cookies shared by 12 people, you can drag these squares around the cookies because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 groups. Then you'll see how many cookies each person gets, and that same number goes here. You're going to be doing these last 2 slides on your own. Use the groups that I already made you. If for some reason you really have trouble sliding these squares over, you can click the scribble tool and make your own groups. Just make sure you're making the right number. There's 12 people sharing on this page, so you have to have 12 circles or 12 groups. And that's it. You just started division. Congratulations. I'll see you next time.